Assalamu alaikum. I'm your host Faisal Raza Khan and you are watching Foresight. Viewers, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, where the diverse cultures, rich heritage and the breathtaking landscapes unite. 8 member nations has the rich wealth of the cultural and natural heritage. Through joint ventures and collaborations, Shanghai Cooperation Organization aims to preserve and promote their shared legacy, enriching the lives of their own citizens and also the global travelers alike. We are trying to examine and to explore the cultural canvas of Shanghai Cooperation Organization. We will also examine the organization's efforts to promote tourism, preserving the heritage and fostering the people-to-people connections. We will try to explore SCO's cultural and tourism potential, discover the treasures and experience the warmth of the diverse regional heritage. To discuss this very important topic, we have in our studios Dr. Gulshan Rafiq. She is Senior Research Associate at the Islamabad Policy Research Institute, IPRI. Most welcome to you, ma'am. Thank you very much for your presence. And we have Syed Basim Raza. He is the expert on Shanghai Cooperation Organization affairs. Most welcome to you. Thank you very much, Basim. And online joining us, Dr. Waheed Chadhry. He is the senior anthropologist and right now affiliated with the Batspa University, AC RAC, United Arab Emirates. Most welcome to you, Dr. Waheed. Thank you very much for joining us. My first question to you, Basim, that Shanghai Cooperation Organization always encouraging the cultural and humanitarian cooperation overall and between the member countries in particular. This is another dimension of the Council of Heads of Government meeting. How cultural and tourism industry be flourished, especially through the respective business communities, the creative industries and ordinary citizens.
Okay, so Shanghai Cooperation Organization, it actually began with the idea of security, bringing about security in the overall region. Firstly, it was centric to the Central Asian region, then it expanded towards South Asia and added the other states in that. So particularly, Shanghai Cooperation Organization has expanded its horizon of working too, the mechanisms too. So Shanghai Cooperation Organization, it actually included culture into its mechanisms, and the example of that is like in 2016, the first Kunming Marathon of SCO was conducted, and it has been going on since then. Then in 2021, SCO Museum Forum was conducted in Russia, and same the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, it also delve into creating something of the sort cultural and tourism capital of the SCO.
Definitely.
Now, that was I think happened in 2022. That was a very benchmark sort of an event.
You're talking about Jingtao.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So what actually happens here is that the states which are a part of SCO, they are not just concerned with the security or trade or all of these things. They are very much concerned about the cultural aspect of the organization, and that would be a very prominent sort of a topic during the CHG that is coming. Now, about the tourism potential, all the states across the SCO, they have a great tourism potential. The world is shifting towards, the tourism industry. Almost 9% of the global GDP, it is incorporated by tourism only.
Definitely, you are absolutely right.
Same is the case for all the states coming to Pakistan. Great tourism potential. We have tapped only I think a quarter of it, maybe 2.8% of Pakistan's GDP is incorporated by tourism. Matter of fact, the potential is 10 times more than that. So when the tourism industry of the whole SCO will also be integrated, the whole region will actually flourish in case of the tourism.
Definitely, because tourism is the vital part of economy. So
exactly.
if tourism flourishes, it means your economy is actually flourishing.
Exactly.
So Dr. Gulshan, what's the vitality of the recently approved SCO Tourism Joint Action Plan 2024-25 as it aims to create conducive environment for the tourism, sustainable development, establishing a common tourist space, ensuring high quality tourist services, upgrade the tourist infrastructure like hotels, resorts and the industries, promote joint tourist products and routes, simplify the visa regimes like you have very simplified entry and exit formalities in member countries. So how much it's important to take urgent actions to promote tourism?
Thank you so much, Faisal Saab, for this question. There is a saying in international politics that regions rise and fall together. And it's very true about this region, which consists of all the 8 states of Shanghai Cooperation Organization. And I think that this tourism action plan 2024-2025 is very important because of several reasons. Because it can boost economy of these states by creating new avenues, by creating new routes to this region, and by generating revenues and enhancing local tourism and economies. Secondly, it is important because it would simplify the visa procedures.
Definitely.
If they introduce an electronic visa system, and if there is ease in getting visas and entry and exit facilities, I think this region has potential to attract lots of tourists. And other point of this action plan is enhancing regional integration. So like Belt and Road Initiative and China-Pakistan Economic Corridor are like one aspect of this overall tourism action plan. So if it happens, it would not only integrate this region, but because many SCO member states are very close to Europe. So this region can integrate into other regions as well. So it's very important, and for sustainable development, if SCO member states introduce eco-friendly tourism and environment-friendly practices, it can go in a longer run and it can enhance sustainable development as well. So it's very important.
Definitely, your point well taken. But Waheed, why not to enhance cooperation among the SCO member states to develop smart digital tourism? Digitalized tourism at internet, mobile applications will bring innovation for the tourists to access smart services with ease, especially in traveling, online payment, e-visa, e-banking, hotel booking, currency exchange, the tickets for of the heritage or the cultural sites or museums, memberships, insurance, and accessibility to the emergency services as well. There are lots of other aspects which we get from the digitalized tourism. So how do you see a smart digital tourism at the SCO region, particularly in the SCO region?
Thank you very much, Faisal. Thanks a lot. Definitely, there is no denial to the fact that all the points which you have raised in your question, they are equally important. And particularly if we talk about smart digital tourism, this is demand of the day. The rest of the world is practicing all these actions which you have mentioned in your question. And we need to develop a linkage between the countries of SOC, the members. And if we look at the member countries, we can clearly divide them into 3 cultural groups. Pakistan, India, we are sharing most of the cultural heritage with each other. On the other side, the Russian state, and the third pillar is the China itself. So the basic thing is that if we can get these 3 cultural entities and we integrate them with each other. But how to do that? That's more important. Number 1 is the accessibility. We have to look about on the things that how we can increase the accessibility amongst these countries. Streamlining of the services which you have mentioned, they are highly tech-based. So SOC member countries have to be at par, referring to the access to the technology. Economic growth definitely comes in all these aspects. Whenever we are talking about tourism, its impact on the economic growth, as Basim has earlier said, that how the GDP of the countries is associated with the tourism. So similarly, if we have this cultural exchange through smart digital tourism, it will strengthen SOC members and the very purpose of this organization, because it has to evolve, it has to develop as a very strong regional cooperation entity, as is the case, for example, if we talk about Shenzhen, if we talk about GCC, and these are some of the good examples which are having around, which have been promoted through equity among the member states. For that reason, I'm sure that the safety and emergency services, they are all very important. So whenever we are talking about the smart digital tourism, once we are talking about the hard infrastructure, whereas the softer perspective is equally important. And we have to emphasize on all these things, which will by the facilitate the tourism in the region.
Well
But for that
elaborated, Doctor.
matter,
Well elaborated. How much, Dr. Waheed, how much imperative it is to have the film, drama, documentaries, the travel logs, the theatre, music, creative and visual arts to promote the cultural diversity and heritage of any region. China had initiated SCO Film Festival in 2018, in which member countries, including Pakistan, showcased the variety of art and cultural films. Do you not think that the way to build bridges among the nations with their cultures, traditions and people at large, it's very important to promote these creative and visual arts industry among each other?
absolutely true, Faisal Sahab. Particularly once we are talking about the bridges between the nations, between the states, all these mediums, they will be very crucial, they will be very important. Particularly today, messaging is extremely important. Building narratives is extremely important. So for that matter, it might be drama, it might be film, it might be short story, it might be even the social media, all other perspectives. They are extremely important. And particularly once we are talking about the tourism promotion, we have to emphasize on these bridging mechanisms. And these are few of them. People-to-people contact is another way of bridging the people with each other. And till the time we don't create a regular link, sustainable mechanisms of promoting all these activities, and we are culturally connected with one another. These strangeness, these the feelings of being isolated from one another, we can get away with all these barriers, with all these borders through the softer perspectives, where drama, film, TV, other means of media, social media particularly, they play a very vital role. And for all that, the youth can play a very important role. Because
definitely. You are absolutely right. Dr. Waheed Sahab, your point well taken. When we are talking about Basim, different sort of media, so it's important that the media and information exchange, as Dr. Saab was rightly saying, training of the media personnel, journalists, the capacity building, exchange programs, especially to promote the positive image of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization at the regional and the global stage. Through joint ventures and programs, countering the fake news as well, and why not to have SCO media outlets in print, broadcast and digital forms to promote the SCO themes for the regional integration, especially when we are talking about the culture, heritage, the music, art, literature, lifestyles and environment and lots of other areas.
Okay, so SCO Media and Think Tank Forum, it has been conducting forums, annual forums for a very long time. It's been, I think, 19 forums have been conducted up till now. I was fortunately a part of the last forum, which was held in Tashkent, and it was widely discussed that the think tank collaboration is there. The academia collaborates, the researchers, they are collaborating. Every single state.
Do we have the SCO-centric media outlets or?
No, not up till now.
Okay.
Not up till now. And that is actually absent over there. So the narrative actually is promoted by the media. For the sake of think tanks and universities, they can create the narratives of the academics and the researchers. But for the sake of the general public, there is an utter need of creating a unilateral sort of a media outlet which is represented in every single SCO state. It's not actually difficult to do so. Recently, Belarus was added as a member of the SCO, and the state-owned think tank of Belarus, it has just created an SCO research center in it. There is a network available for the sake of think tanks. Similarly, it can be coupled with a network of media outlets, which will actually create the narrative for the general public.
So, Dr. Gulshan, what about public, cultural and heritage diplomacy? What role it can play in promoting to have the better understanding of the SCO region, splendid, diverse civilizational discourse, enhance the people-to-people contacts with ease of the, as we were discussing about the visas, visa regimes and the direct flights particularly, the railroad linkages to understand, because you have done your PhD from China, so how much beneficial the railroad route is, you know better than us, because to understand the member countries, history, civilization, tradition and ideologies, and to enhance government to government, business to business relationship, how much it's important to have that strong diplomacy, particularly in cultural heritage and the public domain.
Faisal Sahib, it's very important to discuss these aspects of SCO member states. It's a very important question, and I think that all these nations, they have civilization, they have cultures, they have traditions. For example, Samarkand and Bukhara in Uzbekistan, Taxila in Pakistan, and all this area along GT Road, which was built by Sher Shah Suri, and additionally Kashgar in China. These regions are very important. And if you connect these regions, they will not only boost tourism, but they will also showcase culture and civilization of these areas.
We cannot even forget Bukhara, Samarkand, Toshambe and all others really, because they have also the legacy. So please, if you...
Exactly. And secondly, showcasing your civilizational aspects with best and, like, if not best, better infrastructure in this region would be also important for all the member states and for integrating regions and cultures in one platform. So when we talk about infrastructure, the rail and road connectivity is very important. When I travel from Shanghai to Islamabad, I missed this aspect when it comes to from KKH to Islamabad, because there are many patches which are still not built.
Definitely that is under construction. So
exactly, and when it comes to direct flights between the cities, there are many challenges. For example, there is no direct flight from Shanghai to Islamabad, and students and all other people who wish to travel to Shanghai, they either travel through Middle East or through other provinces of China. So the flight, like it's a very long flight. So connectivity is very important, and I really hope that all the projects under BRI and China-Pakistan Economic Corridor and other initiatives of SCO would be completed soon, so this region could be integrated formally and in a better way.
Definitely, you are absolutely right, because that ultimately, if we have a very rapid linkage, it means that ease of travel, and you have less costs required to travel to the different regions, no doubt about that, and that will also enhance overall connectivity and the tourism as well. Basim, how important it is, how much SCO proposed current year 2024 as an year of ecology is imperative in terms of environmental protection and the green development, especially in the light of the joint SCO approaches for resolving the environmental issues, the joint action plan for implementing the green belt projects in 2024-26, and then the planned implementation of the cooperation among the SCO member states regarding environmental protection for the year 2025 to 2027.
Okay, so when we look at the SCO region, there are multiple states which are massively hit by the climate change. Pakistan is among one of them. Pakistan is the 8th state in the world which is extensively hit by the climate change. Same goes for India, same goes for many other states. So SCO has been focused on, you know, like developing an ecological sort of strategy in order to cope up with all of that. In 2022, I think in India, they actually dedicated the year of 2024 to the year of ecology for SCO, and the forum has been conducted in Qingdao, I think in China in this year in July. So the challenges are there. There is a massive depletion of natural resources. There is an extensive level of deterioration of ecosystems. We are facing a collective sort of a menace, and which is naturally, you know, like subjected upon us. So the problem is, the dilemma is common, so the strategies should be common. And in this regard, the strategies that are proposed by SCO, they will be discussed in the CHG meeting on 15th too. And I am very hopeful about that there will be a proper implemented strategy which would cope up with all of these challenges that we are facing.
Definitely, because it's the second highest decision-making forum.
Exactly.
And they have to decide it, because unless until we run out of resources, because this climate change is actually impacting hard and our environment is degrading. Dr. Waheed, how much imperative is to protect our regional archaeological sites? We have the climate change challenge, we have lots of other environmental challenges, and including that there are the challenges of different conflicts and all others. So particularly the archaeological sites, then the specimen of the flora and fauna, precious herbs, artifacts, ancient musical instruments, paintings, literature, art and craft, other cultural and heritage valuables from theft, smuggling or trafficking in SCO region. And what's the importance of the UNESCO's three main pillars of the prevention, return and restitution, along with the regional cooperation in this regard, because that is very important aspect when it comes to preserve our archaeology and our artifacts and overall heritage and culture.
Thank you very much. I will take the last part of your question first, that is related to the role of the UNESCO.
Okay.
There is no doubt that all these three pillars, they have played a very pivotal role. But still, there is a lot more to do, because we know that in the historical and ancient times, if I refer particularly to the colonial time, where the cultural heritage, where the archaeological monuments, where all those assets, they were stolen by the countries which were ruling those areas, which has hit the cultural heritage of those countries very badly. So on one point, it has to be restored. This is their legal right, and every country has the right to have one's own historical monuments and historical heritage at place in their countries, because this is also an asset for the next generations which we have to pass on.
Definitely.
On the other side, how to be protected? No doubt, there is a different level of sensitivity, sensibility, ownership of these archaeological sites in all these member states of SCO. I would suggest that on one side, we have to take some initiatives at the organizational level, at the SCO level, but along with that, every country should have a local strategy, perspective where the importance of these sites should be highlighted amongst the masses, because the communities are the real owners of all these archaeological sites.
And
So
most of the time they are
unluckily,
unaware of the fact that how much precious these sites are. So unfortunately, sometimes they becomes the fodder of those smugglers and all those the traffickers. They themselves do some sin on that particular part, because that is only because of the unawareness, and that must have to be spread really, because that is very important to give awareness to the people really.
And unluckily, our country is badly affected by all these activities in the past as well. Until today, every other day, we hear about the smuggling of all these ancient assets. And a prevention mechanism is still very loose in Pakistan, particularly referring to the organization, to the SCO. I think that we have to have a regional framework which will help Pakistan more than the other states to preserve all these cultural sites, because they not on one side are a part of the history, rather they are a big cultural asset. And through these sites, through these cultural heritage, we can educate our coming generations. And luckily, we have a very similarity of this cultural heritage between the member states. If I talk about particularly about Pakistan, India, and China, so both Buddha and Buddhism has a lot of cultural heritage in Pakistan. Similarly, the Hinduism has a lot of cultural heritage and religious heritage in Pakistan. So by preserving all these things, we can provide a very strong basis for regional cooperation. This can be the basis of mutual respect and will become the communities, become the nations together.
You are
will
absolutely
call
right,
it
Dr.
another
Waheed,
kind of diplomacy.
because the Gurdwaras here in Pakistan affiliated with the Sikhism, Sikh religion, we preserve that, we preserve Kitas Raj and all other monuments and the archaeological sites over here in Pakistan. When we are talking about the regional tourism, that is the one which Pakistan is actually promoting, but unfortunately from India, most of the times we have seen that some other aspects are going to be promoted. When we are talking about the Kartarpur corridor, that was the real essence and the monument for the Sikhism in Pakistan, but unfortunately that was not much utilized really by India. Your point well taken, Dr. Waheed. I'm coming to you. Dr. Gulshan, SCO organized 8th ministerial, when Dr. Waheed was saying about the awareness among the masses, that is very important, but before that the education is much important to have, then the awareness has more impact on that. So SCO organized 8th ministerial meeting on education in Moscow, Russia on 18th of April 2024 for the promotion of education sector, the academic exchanges, the joint research, definitely into the vocational training, the linguistic learning, youth cooperation and education, digitalization. How much vital its implementation in all member countries when an action plan 2024-25 also there for the implementation of SCO agreements on cooperation and education on 15 June 2015.
So there is already a lot going on when it comes to academic and research exchanges. Like there are many students across the borders among these member states, but there is still a lot to do. And when it comes to academic exchange programs, there should be programs for students, researchers, and faculties from colleges and universities. They should travel across border and learn from each other. And secondly, there should be joint research collaboration and research initiatives among all the universities and think tanks in these member states. SCO has done a lot, but I still think that this side of academics is missing, because when it comes to joint research initiatives, there is a language barrier, because many people from South Asia, especially from India and Pakistan, they don't learn Chinese and Russian language. Like some of them do, but actually they hesitate learning it properly. And when it comes to Chinese nationals or Russian nationals or people from Central Asia, they really don't try to learn Urdu and Hindi language. So this language barrier has to be removed if we have to academically exchange our ideas, or we have to develop many collaborative programs on that. And when it comes to e-learning, it's very important, because this area, this region has, it's becoming digitalized, and after and before COVID pandemic, there was a very formal way of learning and academic exchanges, but COVID-19 has altogether transformed the learning processes from formal learning into e-learning. Like I started my degree on e-line portals, and they were very helpful. So if we digitize all these learning processes and academic exchanges, and we start building e-portals all over SCO, it would be very helpful. And for academic exchanges, there are many initiatives, but some of the initiatives can be restarted. For example, China hosts many students from all over the world for a global competition every year, and it hosts many students from European countries as well. But this initiative can be taken as a model for SCO member states. Then there are other initiatives, like there is another initiative for youth, and it usually happens and organized by East Asian states. They call it Mekong Youth Festival. So this could be another example for academic and cultural exchanges.
Dr. Gulshan, you have just mentioned youth. Basim, SCO region thriving with the vibrant youth population. They are energetic, enthusiastic, dynamic, full of ideas, and have passion to excel. Recently held 17th meeting of the Organizational Youth Council in Astana, Kazakhstan, stressed upon strengthening cooperation between the youth organizations, youth councils, establishing an international headquarter for eco-volunteers for environmental protection and so on. So what's your thought? What we have to do more for the youth population, for the youth bulge? Because they are the asset for us if we use them in a right direction, because otherwise it is going to be a burden.
Exactly. Now, the idea is to regionally integrate all these states. And as we know, almost 3/4 of Pakistani population is young. Same as like almost half of the Indian population is, like the young population. So we have a huge number of young population all across the SCO member states.
No doubt.
So
no doubt.
in order to develop anything of that sort, we need people-to-people contacts. So for the sake of people-to-people contacts, we need youth exchanges, contacts between the youth. So the recent meeting that happened at Astana, it was massively dedicated towards the ecological focus of youth. Building this idea among the youth of every single state that we have to protect the planet. We have to do something to preserve the planet, preserve our ecological systems. And the way that we've already established that the importance of this youth diaspora, this young diaspora, is extensively substantial, and we have to engage them in every possible aspect of that. Even in case of B2B relations between all of these states, there is a huge number of young entrepreneurs.
Obviously.
They can do something great about it. They can do something great about the climate change problems that we are facing. So the recent meeting, it proposed some really great initiatives, and I am literally looking towards them in the next, the CHS meeting that would be happening, that which ones would be adopted actually and implemented.
A very important point, Dr. Waheed, as we are discussing education, then the youth is very important. So the books and literature has the special space for that, special place for that. Books, literature, academia, the research centers always play an important role in bridging the global communities, spreading the colors of different regional outlooks to other regions and help understanding the history, culture, heritage and regional dynamics. What's the impact of such initiatives across the SCO region, like one in July in this year in Chengdu, China, that was a book publishing conference in July 2024 and creation of the Union of the Publishing Industry of the SCO countries was also announced on that occasion. The question is that how much it is important to have the book reading habits must have to be preserved across the SCO region, that literature must have to be spread across the region. We should know that what are the research centers, what are the academic institutions, and how the overall book writings and these things are going on across the region, because most of the regions don't know each other.
I believe that the ultimate objective of all this exercise and all those efforts which we have mentioned, which are being carried out and which are in planning for the future, they are basically focused on sharing knowledge and wisdom. So that let's take that as a bottom line. So that is the ultimate objective of all these exercises, where books, literature, all other means, the publishing, the conferences, they are a means towards the end. But as mentioned by Dr. Gulshan earlier, the language is one of the biggest barrier. I've been witness during my last visits to China that China is working a lot on collection the literature, the scientific research, as well as poetry, art from different countries of the world. And from Pakistan, they have collected a lot of literature and a lot of books in their Chinese libraries, which they are translating as well. But how to get it materialized? Because the regional identity will again be an issue. Whenever we are talking about the cooperation, we have to be extremely sensitive about the regional and the national identities of the state members.
Definitely.
So for that, I would advise that till the time we don't make a compulsory platform for learning each other's language, and language is the basic tool for learning the culture as well. So it will definitely help us to promote literary activities in the state members, and definitely it's all linked to the education.
Obviously, your point well taken, Dr. Waheed. Dr. Gulshan, what's your thoughts on announcement of the several joint projects in the SCO countries, like development of the database of the UNESCO World Natural and Cultural Heritage Sites, publication of the book series on the cultures, catalogue of the World Heritage Monuments, history of science and technology and the classical literature. So how much important this is, and to what extent some of the work done on that?
So this is a very important initiative when it comes to this region of SCO. For example, this area has been the hub of civilizations. We have Islamic civilization, we have Hindu civilization, there is Buddhist civilization. So if the historical sites and these landmarks and monuments, if they are preserved, it would become hub of tourism as well.
No doubt.
So it's very important. And for example, there are many Buddhist stupas in Taxila. There are 2 in Islamabad as well, and there is a city in China in Dantong province, and they call it Zhonggang grottos, and they are very similar to all the grottos in Taxila. So these cities can be declared as sister cities, and this model can be applied to other states and other landmarks in other countries as well. So this is very important. And secondly, when it comes to book series, I have observed that many youngsters in Pakistan, they love Russian and Chinese literature. When it comes to the Russian literature, because it's translated, so it's very easy for them to integrate it into their brains. But when it comes to Chinese literature, it's mostly not translated. For example, Russian writer Leo Tolstoy's book War and Peace is very popular in Pakistan. But if you ask any student or a young guy in Pakistan that do you know about Chinese literature, they know nothing about it. And same is the case with many people in these states as well. For example, we don't know much about Central Asian literature. So I think there should be an annual cultural fest among all the SCO member states. We already have models for that. We have a very successful model of Urdu Literature Festival in Pakistan, and there are many festivals which are held annually in China and Russia as well. So this book series along with cultural festival could be a very good idea to promote culture and to preserve history and literature and even sociology and all the subjects related to society in all these states.
Definitely, you are absolutely right. Basim, whether any move initiated by the Shanghai Cooperation Organization or its member countries to protect intellectual property rights of creative work, architectural, musical, the literary, artistic copyrights, then the patents, the trade secrets, then the industrial designs, the database rights, plant breeders' rights, and so on. Because it again very vital to preserve the regional commerce, along with that the trade, the heritage, the creative and the innovative work overall.
As we have already established, we have a very rich cultural heritage of this region. When it comes to music, the Central Asian music, Pakistan and India has a similar taste of music. Same goes for China, a very distinctive sort of music. And that goes to architecture too, that goes across into the literary, like productions too. SEO specifically has not up till now addressed the intellectual property rights scenario, but during the last business council meeting of SEO, it was discussed about the patents, the business patents, because it is widely like created a negative sort of a narrative regarding China about copyrights and all of that, that they don't follow the copyrights of the Western industries and all of that. And this actually is nullified by this very idea that during that meeting the Chinese were to propose this thing, that we need to develop some sort of a mechanism that actually like provides a unilateral sort of a thing across the region for the sake of copyrights, for the sake of patent approvals. So it has been discussed, but a proper mechanism up till now is not present. But there is a very strong probability that it will be created.
Your point well taken. Dr. Basim, how much beneficial is to promote our traditional medicines and the medicinal plants through the SCO forum, as it's not only our heritage, but the part of our cultural life since hundreds of years, hundreds of centuries. So China took a great initiative on that front as well, that SCO forum on traditional medicines in June 2024, where such medicinal advantages, experiences, the development, standardization and integration of those indigenous medicines or the traditional medicines and the medicinal plants into our health system was discussed. So how do you see this aspect, how much it is important?
Actually, Faisal, this is part and parcel of our cultural practices. If we look at our past healing practices, we have always been indulged in alternative methods. Where medicinal points and the traditional methods, they have been a very big source of knowledge as well as a source of medical health and mental health as well. And China has a very rich heritage in that, no doubt. India, Pakistan is also famous for some of its healing practices, which have been recognized all over the world. But this forum can provide an excellent platform from where we can share all this knowledge about medicinal points, about plants, as well as about our cultural practices, which we practice at the household level. Every community has its own ecological perspective related things which are performing good for the health of the area. We have a lot of minerals, we have a lot of environmental pockets where we can have all these health practices.
Definitely, you are absolutely right, Dr. Waheed. We have run short of time, unfortunately. Thank you very much for your presence online. Thank you very much for your candid views as well. I am really thankful to you, Dr. Gulshan, for your presence. Thank you very much, Basim, for your presence here in the studios. Viewers, as you have just listened to our panelists, the tourism and the cultural canvas is very beautiful and breathtaking across the SCO region. But we have to focus on that if we want to develop our economies. It is important that we have to promote the digitalized tourism across the region. That will give a boost to the tourism industry overall. We have to build our economies on that, and creative and visual art must have to given us true space on that front as well. Then air and the railroad linkages, very simplified visa regime, and overall the barriers which are involved in exit and entry of the tourists, that must have to be removed. Youth exchanges is very helpful, is going to be very helpful for whole of the region. We have to remove the language barriers, particularly from the available literature that must have to be translated easily into the regional languages. Also, the academic and the research institutions, those must have to develop linkages, and again those language barriers must have to be removed on that. The cultural at the cultural front, it is important that we have to promote our overall heritage and the archaeological sites and all that, and we have to give a true awareness to the masses as well. Film, drama, music and media collaboration, cooperation and festivals are very important. Intellectual property right must have to be taken in consideration, as China has given a beautiful proposal on that. So I think so that overall this Council of Heads of Government meeting of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization must have to consider all these aspects if we want to integrate and really connect the region all together. This is today's Foresight. It's time to sign off. Allah Hafiz.